Today, we're going to take a literal piece of trash, a discarded aluminum box, and give it a useful life again. It looks like it fell off a truck at high speed. The lid hinge was ripped completely off, and a large hole was punched right through the side. Using a hammer and dolly, I flattened the damaged area so I could weld it back up. But first, let's get rid of these old decals. Using a heat gun I also picked out of a dumpster. All it needed was a couple new coils wound out of Kanthal wire. To protect the inner foam from the intense heat of the weld, I clamped a pair of vice grips to hold the foam down. Welding aluminum is always a challenge, especially since I don't do it frequently enough to stay razor sharp. One of the many challenges with aluminum is the oxide layer that forms almost instantly. You can't weld dirty aluminum, or at least I can't. Because the metal is pretty thin and I want to avoid burning through, I'm using the pulse mode on my TIG welder. Fortunately, this first weld went pretty well. Even though it's not perfect, it's not much worse than the factory welds. Admitting that I'm out of practice highlights a broader trend. The loss of basic repair skills is one of the most significant cultural shifts in the last few decades. It represents a massive transition from a society of producers and maintainers to a society of consumers.
Hinge is still a little crooked, but I think we can probably push her down. See, there's a little curve in the top of the hinge we're gonna have to take care of.
Past generations learned how to sew, weld, or handle basic mechanics out of sheer necessity. These practical skills were passed down naturally, whether by watching a parent change the oil, mend a torn hem, or fix a leaky faucet. Today, however, busier schedules mean parents rarely have the time to slow down and teach these things. Parents of today's teenagers may not have learned these skills themselves. The chain of generational knowledge is effectively broken. You cannot pass down a skill you do not possess. Combined with the fact that these trades are rarely taught in schools anymore, we are left with a form of learned helplessness when things break. As the objects around us become more complex and unfixable, our relationship with the physical world becomes increasingly abstract. When we don't understand how our devices function, the world starts to feel like magic rather than mechanics, creating a deep sense of alienation. We're surrounded by tools we rely on for survival and comfort, yet we're completely blind as to how they operate. Conversely, taking something apart, diagnosing a failure, and correcting it strips away that alienation. It grounds you in reality. It proves that the physical world is predictable, logical, and most importantly, something you're capable of influencing. This is exactly why I want to show people how to become more self-reliant by fixing and making things from scratch. Fixing something yourself builds a sense of competence, confidence, and a connection to your environment. Without that connection, we're entirely at the mercy of manufacturers and corporations. When you successfully fix a broken item, your brain experiences a powerful hit of dopamine tied to problem solving. Through your own intellect and effort, you move from a state of frustration to a state of resolution. Furthermore, repairing an object infuses it with a story. It ceases to be just another mass-produced commodity and it becomes your toaster or your bicycle. This builds a sense of stewardship and care, breaking the cycle of treating the world as disposable. There's an incredible sense of security in knowing that because you fixed it once, you can fix it again if it breaks down tomorrow. Of course, repair takes patience, and it rarely goes perfectly on the first try. I had to rewind the motor in my 80-year-old milling machine 3 times before it worked properly. But in the process, I developed a brand new skill and I saved $1,400. Every new project has its ups and downs, things that go sideways, and occasionally things that go exactly right. But after every success, you're rewarded with that familiar satisfaction of a job well done, and the knowledge of how to do it faster next time. Step out of your comfort zone. Try, fail, learn, and repeat until you master it. But the real magic happens when you pass it on. Teach your kids how to figure things out. Bring home that broken lawnmower from the curb and let them tear it apart. Encourage curiosity. Don't protect them from failure. Teach them to embrace it. The lessons we learn through failure are the ones that stick. If it were easy, everyone would do it. Thanks for watching.